Hello everyone, and welcome back to Marvel and DC Comics. Today, we're diving into Superman Volume 6, Issue 22 by Joshua Williamson. Superman's battle with Doomsday takes an unexpected turn when the Aftermath, a group of alien beings, all survivors of Doomsday's past rampages, arrives in orbit above Metropolis, demanding that the creature be handed over to them. If not, both the city and Superman himself will suffer the consequences. Before we dive into what happens next, make sure to check out my previous videos for the full story. The introduction of the Aftermath and its connection to Hunter-Prey from the 90s is definitely unexpected, especially since that storyline feels so rooted in its time. It's a period of Superman history that isn't often referenced, largely because Hunter-Prey wasn't a particularly well-received story when it was first released. It never left a lasting impact in the way that other Doomsday-related stories did. When Superman boards the ship, he immediately recognizes that it belongs to the people of Calaton, the world Doomsday destroyed in Hunter-Prey. He once promised Radiant and the people of Calaton that he would stop Doomsday, and for a time, he did. But as we've seen in recent issues, Doomsday is never completely stopped, only temporarily contained. Before the creature can wake from his Black Mercy-induced coma, the Aftermath offers to take him away from Earth. The Aftermath itself is a fascinating character, and Williamson takes full advantage of Clark and Lois's investigative skills to reveal some key details. When Superman and Superwoman first arrive on the ship, they immediately begin analyzing their surroundings, trying to determine who and what this being is. One significant discovery is that Superman can't hear a heartbeat or detect any other life signs, which raises an interesting possibility. These beings might be undead. It would make sense if they were vengeful spirits, still seeking retribution for Doomsday's destruction of their world. Furthermore, the Aftermath's temperament is revealing. He is quick to anger, but just as quick to calm himself, suggesting that there is some deep-seated trauma affecting him. It's understandable. His entire planet was wiped out by Doomsday. The reason the Aftermath wants Doomsday is intriguing. It's implied that they don't intend to contain him permanently, but rather use him for something. This leads Superman to an unsettling realization. He's never actually learned the full purpose of Doomsday's creation. It's well known that Doomsday was engineered to be the ultimate weapon of destruction, but the why has always been vague. This issue suggests that the Aftermath may have answers that Superman does not. This also ties into the overarching hints in the series, especially with the Time Trapper storyline, that Doomsday's existence is connected to something much larger. Williamson seems to be building toward a major revelation about Doomsday's origins, and it's exciting to see where this is headed. Lois's investigative instincts kick in, and she quickly realizes that the Aftermath is withholding crucial information. Once he understands that he's been exposed, the Aftermath transforms, revealing himself to be Radiant, the being of pure energy who was created in Hunter-Prey to destroy Doomsday. Given all the references to that storyline, it wasn't a huge surprise that Radiant would make an appearance. However, what is surprising is how Williamson is reworking these elements from a largely forgettable story into something far more engaging and meaningful. Instead of just setting up another Superman vs. Doomsday rematch, he's giving these characters depth and purpose. Radiant doesn't waste time. After leaving his soldiers to fight Superman and Superwoman, he heads straight for Supercorp, intending to take Doomsday's body by force. Fortunately, Supergirl is standing guard while Lena works on a mobile containment unit to safely transport Doomsday out of the city. There's a great moment here between Mercy and Lex, one that highlights their budding romance when still building the background of this series. People around them are starting to notice, especially when Mercy casually calls Lex Lexi, a cute little nickname. This is interesting in light of recent news that Lex is set to return to his more villainous persona, likely due to movie synergy. It's a shame because we've only had brief glimpses of this memory-wiped Lex trying to be a better person. There have been subtle hints throughout this run, moments where he saved people off-panel, but it never felt fully explored. Now, with his memories slowly returning, Lena hopes he will remember a way to deal with Doomsday. As Lex begins to regain fragments of his past, he recalls working with Brainiac during House of Brainiac and realizes that this connection holds the key to stopping Doomsday. He asks for access to one of his older labs, but before he can do anything, Radiant smashes through the base and blasts Supergirl away, determined to take Doomsday for himself. Superman intervenes, attempting to reason with Radiant, but it's no use. Radiant is consumed by his vengeance and declares that as long as Doomsday exists, there will be no peace. However, before he can claim his prize, Doomsday is teleported away, sending Radiant's forces into a frenzy as they begin searching the city. Throughout the issue, Superman has been growing increasingly frustrated, his patience wearing thin as the Aftermath refuses to listen to reason. This is important because, As we know from his exposure to red kryptonite poisoning from Grafton Farm, anger triggers an uncontrollable power surge. That rage is beginning to manifest, especially now that Radiant's assault has escalated to an all-out battle in Metropolis. The red kryptonite poisoning is an interesting handicap. It introduces an element of unpredictability to Superman's character, making him more volatile. However, it also feels somewhat underdeveloped. It was reintroduced only a few issues ago, seemingly forgotten in between due to other storylines like Absolute Power. There's still no clarity on what happens if Superman fully succumbs to it. Will he die? Will he mutate, as red kryptonite has been known to do? Right now, it seems more like a plot device to justify bigger action sequences rather than a fully explored narrative thread. Lois ultimately finds Superman in the midst of battle, teaming up with Doomsday to fight Radiant and his forces. As the battle intensifies, Jimmy Olsen arrives with Silver Banshee to document the chaos for the Daily Planet. But when Radiant sees Jimmy, he decides that Superman must pay a price for standing against him. He opens fire on Jimmy, declaring that his life will be taken in place of Doomsday's. Superwoman rushes to save him, but before she can reach him, time slows down, and the Time Trapper appears before Lois. The Time Trapper reminds Lois that he once warned Clark that all of this could have been prevented if he had just killed him. Now, since Superman refuses to take that step, Lois must make the same choice. If she kills the Time Trapper, she won't just save her husband and Jimmy, she'll save the world. This is a fascinating twist in the Time Trapper arc. Previously, he seemed determined for Superman to be the one to kill him, possibly as a means of forcing Clark to break his moral code. But now, by turning to Lois, it suggests that the villain is far more desperate than he's letting on. It makes sense, too. His death is supposed to transform him into a godlike being with complete control over time. If that's the case, then of course he wants it to happen. The slow build of the future horror elements in this storyline has been excellent, creating a rising tension that keeps readers engaged. However, the true payoff remains to be seen. So far, much of the horror has revolved around Superman's loved ones dying, but there were earlier hints that something even worse was coming. Hopefully, the next few issues will deliver on that build-up. What are your thoughts on this issue? Let me know them in the comments section. And remember, heroes are made by the paths they choose, not the powers they're born with.